Welcome back to Gems Podcast. I am the founder and host, Miss Genesis Amaris Kemp, and my special guest is Miss Nini Tolson. And here's a bit about Nini. She is a wife, mother, entrepreneur, advisor, and thought leader in the field of emotional intelligence. She is also the co-founder of the Tolson Institute, a global consulting company that has catered to 25,000 businesses and has delivered over 6,500 case studies into emotional intelligence and providing services to Fortune 500 companies, privately owned million and billion dollar businesses. Prior to that, she served as a business class cabin crew member representing three of the world's most prestigious airlines and personally serving hundreds of thousands of passengers from 126 nationalities. Her passion lies in teaching people how to achieve their goals who experience low levels of self worth or feel trapped by mental and emotional blockages. And she provides a fresh perspective on personal transformation. So, without further ado, I'm going to welcome Nini Tolson to GEMS podcast, where we're going to learn about the three C's: clarity, confidence, and cash flow. So, welcome, Nini.
Hello. Hi, how you doing? Thank you for having me today.
My pleasure. So, before we jump into the three C's, I want you to share a interesting but fun fact about yourself as a way of an icebreaker.
Wow. I also have three C to talk about myself. First is cat. I'm a cat lover that I act like a cat. I'm very independent, and sometimes I just want people just look at me but don't touch me too much. And I love cats so much that my husband even named our son's name initial as a cat. His name is Caesar Anderson Tolson. So if you put the initial together, it's like CAT. The second C is cute. By that means, everything I do has to be cute, meaning that looking after yourself physically and mentally well, see the world with the mindset of the cuteness, which means being positive and creating more abundance in your life. The third one is confidence. I'm Taiwanese, but I'm married Australian. I have a British blue cat that is born in Ukraine and raised in Dubai, and I having a French bulldog all the way from the French, but raised in Taiwan. So in my house there are mixed so many different nationalities, and I love it so much because it also really represent myself in a lot of different way. Since I was 19, I have lived in the USA, Macau, Dubai, UAE, and also Australia. And I used to work with, like you mentioned, with the three glamorous international airline and serve as a business class cabin crew. And I visit over about 85 countries and work with a colleague from 120 different nationality. So I think it's that the confidence that I have in myself, led me to really get out of my comfort zone and go out to pursue my goals and explore the world. So those are the three C that I would describe myself. That's a
Those
fun
are
fact.
Those are definitely three amazing C's because your son's name with the initials cat,
Yep.
then the diversity in your home
Mm.
between yourself and your husband as well as your pets. You see the
Yes.
diversity there, and then overall confidence. And we're going to get into one of your confident areas because one thing that I failed to mention on your bio was the fact that you were involved in an aircraft accident in
Yep.
2010. And for 2.5 years, you went through three major reconstructive surgeries that left you with a permanent disability, financial instability, and emotional trauma. So I definitely want you to cover that as you talk about clarity, confidence, and cash flow, because those threes are something that all of us, no matter where we are in the world or no matter what our background is, we all need to have clarity. We all aspire to be confident in who we are and what we bring to the table. And who doesn't want to have cash flow?
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, like you mentioned earlier, I think for me, my journey really have a massive shift, since I involved with the aircraft accident. I went through those three major reconstruction surgery, and those physical pain and also the emotional pain that was so bad that I really wants to end my own life. Uh, you know, uh, I never done any other jobs, except the cabin crew. So that's a massive change for me. And when the change happened, at that time, I didn't have in that coping mechanism. I went into that pit of despair, and it took me some time to really get back up until I realized that, wow, one day when I 4 months pregnant, my company said to me, "Hey, Nini, we're very sorry, but we have to let you go because we have been taking after you for 2.5 years." So when I pregnant 4 months with my daughter, the company said, "I'm very sorry, we couldn't keep you." So I think that was the time that, for me, I really have to think about, well, I really have to reinvent myself. Do I still want to, look for another job, or I should start my own business, which is, I've been thinking about it. So, but with the skill that I have, as a cabin crew, it won't get me where I want to be. I used to earn $50 per hour as a business cabin crew. But when I learn about the emotional intelligence, I know my strength, I know my weakness. So I can have a series of the plan, having that personal development, to help me to reinvent myself. And now I having that skill that my customer, my client, happy to pay me $500 per hour. So that's a massive gap. 50 and 500. So I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
Are you willing to earn 50 per hour or 500 per hour? So for me, that, once I learn more about myself, managing my emotion and, learn more about those emotional intelligence, it really put me into the place that I can, do more, spend more. So usually that is coming from when I'm talking about the clarity. People really know what their strengths are. Do you know who you really are? What you're really good at? But are you using it? Because
Absolutely.
yeah, because 58% of your success is come to your emotional intelligence. So if you're not using your strength and your skill at the right place, you probably won't be able to earn type of the money that you want. Uh, Also talking about the confidence, when you into a totally new, different expertise, having that massive change, we were feeling a lot of fears, fear of what if the fear of the failure, what if I fail, what if I lost, all those emotions like a cocktail inside of you, and you will be you need to be able to how to manage it, those what we talk about the negative emotions into the right place. So this is where the confidence coming from. And
So
then
let's stay
once
here really
yeah
quick about the
yeah
confidence piece, because it's like you need to know where to channel that energy, because in order to really walk out your confidence, you have to know who you are, what type of value do you add to those who are connected to you, and how do you want to show up in the world. But if you never connect inwardly to say, okay, who am I? What am I good at? Am I using my skills? Are my
mm,
skills constantly being sharpened? Because even though we may have a specific area that we're good in, we need to constantly sharpen that skill, because just like, the world is changing and there's different advancements, we as individuals need to, also advance in our areas of expertise, so we can make sure that we are remaining that SME, subject matter expert. So I
yeah
wanted to just add that there. And then just going back to the clarity piece, clarity, is also so important on your focus. What are you focusing on? And
Yes.
is your focus laser clear, or is your focus being guided by external factors, whether they're external voices or external
Mm,
circumstances? Because if so, then those are distractions and you really don't have that clarity. So I just
yeah.
wanted to interject that there, Nini, because I think it's going to connect with the audience.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. So, and I think that, when you talking about the confidence, actually, when we through the emotional intelligence side, at the moment, like what we're using, we have a technology that can help you to decode the vibration of your brain frequency, and by that you will be able to understand who you really are. You can even get into the subconscious level about your emotions. We have frequent emotion and the core emotion, and usually those core emotion, like we said, like a root cause, that is the thing really will impacting your confidence. Unless you really know who you really are, what's that core emotions has been impacting you, you won't be able to grow. Because like we say, a lot of past experience, like for me, that's a traumatic experience. If I didn't know how this experience has been impacting me physically, emotionally, I won't be able to cope with it. I won't be able to move on. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, that absolutely
Oh.
makes sense because you had to connect with the root. And once you connected with the root and you unpacked it, then you were able to, okay, say, yes, this traumatic accident and the aircraft happened to me, but it also happened for me. And then fast forwarding, you talked about when you were 4 months pregnant, they
Mm,
laid you off. So some people could say that they wrongfully laid you off because you were pregnant, and you being pregnant doesn't have anything to do with you being involved in that accident. So it's two different incidents. But out of those incidents, you realize, okay, this is something that happened to me, but it also happened for me to be accelerated beyond my comfort zone.
absolutely, absolutely. And I'm not going to lie to you, when you in that journey of change is not easy, especially you have to change yourself. You have to become a totally different person. uh, Sometimes this the journey can be very harsh. You might have a lot of disappointment, a lot of sadness, and for you to be able to managing those emotions, like also feeling anxious, or some of the limiting belief, can I be able to make it, all the thing, how can I run business, when I'm pregnant, like all those little voice in your mind, so I think that that's really the emotional intelligence has been helping me, but also helping my husband, because we have some challenge when we want to start our business. Things didn't work out. We have to move back to Australia, having the government, those social security, all those things, government have to pay for us. And then for me as an Asian, sometimes when we say that, it's like losing the face, and then we don't want to talk about it. We don't want to talk about it. We don't want people to see us as a weakness. But now we can actually using those experience or life lesson to actually helping our clients who been through similar situations that we had before. So it's really that those EQ been helping both me and my husband a lot through the journey.
And I like that you share how not only does it help you and your husband, but by you and your husband going through it, then you're able to effectively help your clients because you're letting them know, yeah, these situations that I face, I went through challenges, I went through hardships, I went through periods where I had to pivot. And that's a part of, being human. It's not always going to be those perfect days where everything is sunshine and rainbows. Sometimes you're
Yeah.
going to have those dark, cloudy moments where you will be tested, whether it's mentally,
Yep.
physically, emotionally, or spiritually. But if you don't weather the storm, you're not going to have your breakthrough experience, which is, even though you think about breakthrough, yes, it broke you, but you're going to make it through to the other side. You just have to have that grit. You have to have that resilience. You have to be consistent as well as persistent. And whenever you are at the crossroads, connect with somebody who sees your potential and can be a formal mentor or an advocate or even a sponsor to help you get over that hurdle onto the other side.
I really like the one that you put into that dot is that, connect with somebody who can really, like the mentor who be able to helping you. One of the thing I like to share with my student or the client is that asking help is not a weakness. Asking help is actually a strength because for a lot of, and I think for me, because I experiencing both east and the west, as an Asian in the east culture, like we don't tend to ask for the help because, like I say, we don't want to lose face, we don't want to earn somebody's favor. So people just kind of accumulate those stress or accumulate those emotions until like a bomb gonna be explode. So that's why I really like the one that you put it there. When you notice that you need that help, go and ask for help instead of that you dealing by yourself.
Absolutely. And if you think about it, history, let's look at history as a whole. In
Mm,
order to make progress in history, someone has went before us to pioneer. Like, without the person creating the computers, we wouldn't be able to have Zoom because the
yeah.
computers are used with the Zoom. Without
Mm,
the person's pioneering vehicles, we would be walking or riding bikes everywhere. So just like there has been someone who went before us, we can be that person to hold our own torch and light the way for other people. So you never know where you are in history, but if you don't take a stand and remain steadfast, then we will not see the progression, and you
yeah.
will not reach perfection without progression.
Absolutely, absolutely. Like you said, that resiliency, and I think resiliency is also one of what we say in the criteria when it comes to in the EQ. Because without the resiliency, you will quit. When you're facing the challenge of obstacle, you will quit because, and this is also what I see a lot in my client as well, that they in that crossroad, they know they need to do something, but because those fear, those limiting belief, or those challenge they have been facing, they give up even just after their first attempt. So I think I also, like earlier you mentioned that that resiliency, and I really love that people have to keep going in. And I think when it comes to in business or even in a personal life, things that the change never stop. So you really have to have that in yourself so you can keep going.
Yes, absolutely. Ooh, we're getting fired up tonight. And when you think about emotional intelligence as a whole, Nini, and what you do in your business, what are some tips and tricks that we could leave with the listeners and viewers so they could really, really tap into that emotional intelligence? And when I say tap in, I want them to do the inward work so they could manifest it outwardly.
Okay. I think the confidence come from the full foundation of the emotional intelligence, which is we're talking about. The first one is the self-awareness, which is like I say, you really need to know your strength and the weakness, and also that confidence. The second part is the self-management. This is the discipline to control your mindset and your emotions. Like I mentioned, your anxiety, your fear, failure, or even you have any limiting belief. The third one is the social recognition, which is the your ability to read other people's emotional makeup. The fourth one is the social management, which is your ability to communicate well with others and generate a network. So this is a very four important foundations about the EQ. what you can do, what I always say is that the first thing is that the self-awareness part is very, very important, because you really need to know yourself first before you can understand others. One of the exercise I like my clients to do is write down the top 10 strength that you have. Okay? And you write down the 10 weakness that you have. So when you go through the list, for example, you go through the 10, the top 10 strength that you have, I want you to ask yourself, which number one strength that you know if you use it more often will get you one step closer to your goal. And the second thing is, when you're looking at your weakness, which is not number one weakness, if you improve it, you will be one step closer to your goal. Very funny thing is, with this question, a lot of people couldn't answer. They probably can give me top two or three, but when you're after three, the majority of the people will struggles. So it seems like very easy exercise, but it's actually a very, very good exercise for you to really rethink and rewire. And that is also a way for people to better understand themselves, because sometimes we thought we understand ourselves, but the truth is probably not. There's the statistics show 85% of the adult population claim their emotional intelligence, but the truth is only 10 to 15% adult population are emotional intelligence more aware.
Wow, and that's a good exercise. And I want to add on another exercise to that is once you take the time to do your five strengths, then survey 10 people who are close within your circle, whether they're family members, friends, or colleagues that know you, and ask them to give you five words that describe you. And then, so once you survey those 10 people and you get five words from each of them, you should have 50 words, and circle the top five words that you see reoccurring and see if that matches some of the strengths that you have on your personal list that you took the time to write out. And then
Yeah.
you could use that as a checks and balance.
Beautiful. Yeah, that remind me. One of the assessment that we do is very similar like that. Is what we call is EQ 360, because sometimes how we see ourselves is very different when other people see us. So that's also a very good way to bring out that awareness as well.
And now, Nini, as we begin to wind down, man, the time just really flew.
Oh, yeah.
I want you to leave the listeners and viewers with your call to action for this segment. We already gave them two homework assignments to do to put
Yeah.
them up for the challenge. But now, what else do you want them to grab a hold of if they don't remember anything else that we talked about? What action do you want them to take?
Okay. I run a free like a EQ workshop on the monthly basis, and I would love to invite your audience, to check on the findyourflow.com. Here I have a lot of information about the emotional intelligence. So this is a 4 hours workshop. People can learn more about themselves, how to increase their social awareness and social recognition, but also that self-management part about themselves. So this is a free event. A lot of my students, they really enjoy this, because like wow, they never really think about themselves in a very different level. So I think that's something that I would like to invite your audience to come and check it out and have a look.
Amazing. And it's a freeflow.com, right?
Find your flow,
Oh,
FIND, yeah, findyourflow.com.
findyourflow.com. Perfect. So
Yes.
that will definitely be in the show notes. And then, Nini, for anyone interested in connecting with you on a social level, please plug where you primarily hang out on social media and your website.
Okay. My Facebook just Nini Tolson. If you can, tap, you can connect me with Nini Tolson via the Facebook. I usually use Facebook more often. With my website, just check out the ninitolson.com, and you will see all the information that you will need in regard the emotional intelligence.
And there you have it, listeners and viewers of Gems Podcast. Once again, I am your host and founder, Miss Genesis Amaris Kemp, and my guest was Nini Tolson, where we learned about emotional intelligence. Make sure you subscribe and share this segment. We can be found on 40 plus platforms. And head on over to YouTube to see all video content by searching at Gems with Genesis Amaris Kemp. For those of you interested in continuing to take the mission further with GEMS, where we educate, inspire, and motivate while we bridge the gap and connect the dots between diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, you could go to genesisamariscamp.net to become a brand ambassador and a brand sponsor because we are looking for more people to stand with us so we could continue to get the mission out by bringing on subject matter experts and having versatile conversations such as these. And without monetary contributions, it will take a lot longer to fuel the mission. And I want to encourage you to go out there and spend some time working on you. When you know who you are and where you're going, you are not going to fall or become a victim to what the world wants you to do or what your family members and friends are trying to persuade you to do, especially if it does not feel right within you. So go within, inside yourself, and be who you desire to be because you were created for a purpose, on purpose, and the world needs you to illuminate and shine authentically. So until next time, peace, love, and lots of blessings. Have yourself an amazing day.